Hello, welcome to this course ELEC2544, E-commerce and FinTech. In these sessions, we will talk about channel security. Security is a very important topic in e-commerce because without security, nobody will be willing to enter their credit card number into their network, which may be shared by other people. So in these sessions, we will talk about the risk in the channel securities and also the methods of encryptions, including symmetric encryptions and asymmetric encryptions, which can enable us to do digital signatures. And also we'll talk about hash functions and also some other legal and ethical issues on internet security. When your computer is connected to the network, so your computer database will have a risk to be exposed to other internet users. So you need to protect your computer and also make sure that the data you send to other people through the internet can be protected. So this is what we are talking about, an end-to-end security. So on the top layer, the application layers, for example, your web browser or your email reader, when you send an email from your notebook, then it will pass through the network layer, data layer, physical layer. The physical layers is the Ethernet cable. This is the Ethernet cable that you connected to the network. Okay, so these 7 layers simply convert the data in an email, cut it into many small packets through the network layer and data layer, and then pass through the electronic signals in the physical layer. In the physical layer, at your home router, it will be connected to ISP, the Internet Service Provider. And then this Internet Service Provider will be connected to many other Internet Service Provider, all the way route through many different cities and countries, finally to your destinations. And then convert back this physical layer signal to data packet, and then reassemble the whole email. Therefore, if there's any leakage in any of these ISP, your email may be disclosed to other hackers. Therefore, we need to ensure the end-to-end security and make sure that from the origin to the destinations should be all protected. And we can achieve internet security through 3 approaches. The first approach is technologies. We use different encryption methods, firewalls, and security protocols and so on to help us to make sure that the data are safe. And then policy and procedure is equally important. In the company, they need to define what are the security policy, what types of documents have to be encrypted, and what are the access level, at what certain authorities can access the database. And then people is also very important. If all the technologies and policies are in place but nobody follows those laws, and those policies and technologies are useless. The level of security requirements also depends on how important and the consequence of losing this data. For example, in the bank, data, internet banking, or e-trading, all this which involve huge amounts of transactions, security levels has to be much higher. On the contrary, like what we're doing now in the online learning, I don't mind other people, the public, watch this video. So I just put it on Facebook, on YouTube without any encryption. It's okay. But for internet banking, we need higher security, and therefore some security token and 2-factor authentications have to be used. So you may watch this video, which summarizes different types of potential risk that you may encounter when you are using your computer. After you watch the video, let me summarize what was introduced in this video. The security risk, including the user error, the hardware failure, threats, power surge, hackers and virus activities, and fire and flood and terrorism and so on. Okay. Therefore, we need to do backup and back up your data not only in the floppy disk or in your USB drive, but also in some very important major data center. For example, the bank data center, they need to build a resilient site Okay, they need to build another data center in another 4 or even in another city, so that if one data center fails, another data center can still pick up the service. And also we need to encrypt the data and also provide good password management to make sure that your data file or your computer system will not be accessed by any unauthorized use. So when we talk about computer security, we're not only concerned about the data stored in your client machine, although there may be a risk that hackers may break into your machines and access your data. But more often, your data will be leaked or disclosed to hackers when it is being transferred between computers or when it is sending between different ISP. So when you send some information from your computer to the ISP, so it will pass through different routers and switch. Then if the hacker plug an Ethernet cable to the switch in the middle of these transactions, then the IP packet sending through this switch can be viewed by the hacker. There are some software that can help the hackers to examine every single packet passing through the switch. Then they can reassemble what you have sent if your data is not encrypted. And this is what we call stealing. Stealing means the hackers steal your information privately, silently, and without being noticed by the sender. And these tools called sniffer may also be used to monitor the traffic and also the crypto data analysis as well as the applications attack. And the hackers can also analyze the traffic sending between the networks and who are the parties involved in these communications and so on. There are different types of man-in-middle attack. The man-in-middle attack means someone, or we call them hackers, will stand in the middle in between the sender and the recipients and then do some attack on their data transfer. So this is a normal data transfer from the source to the destinations. And one type of attack is to interrupt the data transfer so that the recipient will never receive the signal sent from the sender. For example, it could be an illegal business activities that stop the competitors from sending the quotation or tender to the client so that they can win the deal. Another type of man-in-middle attack is called interceptions. So the communications between the source and the destinations are normal. They don't feel any difference and problems. And in the middle, the hacker will monitor the data so that they know what's the communications between the competitors and the clients are talking about. For example, they're talking about some sensitive business data like the price, the quotation information and so on, so that they know how the competitor is offering to the client and then give a counterbid. And even much worse situations is modifications. So the data sent from the source will be interrupted by a hacker, and then they modify the content and then send to the destination. For example, in a tender bidding process, when the competitors offer a bid of say 1 million, okay, then this is the competitor. They want to win the deal, so that they change the price to 5 million. Okay, so that even though their bid is only 2 million, we should lose in this tender bidding. Okay, but they alter the price of their competitors and then they win the deal. And in between the communications between the source and destinations, they don't feel any problem. The sender, and in the communications process between the source and destinations, they don't feel any problem. The senders still be able to send their data out and then get a reply, and then the recipient can also receive the data and send the replies to someone. Haven't noticed that the hackers is in the middle. And another example is called fabrications. Fabrications means there's no data originated from the sender at all. But the hacker will send the data to the destinations on behalf of the sender. This is also quite common in business criminal. For example, someone may send a false email to the client telling them that, oh, we have changed the bank account, so please send the money to another account, which is the account of the hacker.